Hello, everyone. Mohammad, Anwar, Pelco RSM, Central California. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about end-of-life announcement for VideoXpert and different migration paths that are available. We have Paul, our sales engineer. He is going to talk about the announcement itself, the timeline, and migration path to Avigilon Unity. And then we have Nate Smith, our BDM for Third Party VMS. He is going to talk about different options that are available with Genetec, Milestone, Salient, Exacq, and many others. So let's take a quick look at what's available. Paul, why don't you kick it off? Over to you.
Hey everybody, Paul Dufresne. I am the sales engineer for the West Coast for Pelco. I've been doing this for a long time, all the way back to the days of VCRs, right? So migrations, I've seen a lot of them, and this is just another one of those steps, and then we'll talk about the parts and pieces that need to go along with it. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you a couple documents that you may have seen, may not have seen, but we'll work through those. And the first one we're going to start off with is the actual end-of-life notice. And this was sent at the end of March. And I think, Mohammed, that was sent out to our customers that we knew that had VideoXpert Professional, if I recall.
Yes, sir.
And this was an email blast that went out to those customers, kind of letting them know that, hey, VideoXpert Professional is going to be going end of life, right? And the document itself is just kind of, discussing all of those things, right? And some rough dates on there. Where the real meat and potatoes comes in is there's a link in this document that's links to a fact document, right? And this is really where you want to pay attention to the dates and times and everything like that. This has got some really good information. So here's a link to that fact document on here. And I'm going to go through there, and this is the first one that's really important, right? Well, what does it mean VideoXpert Pro is going end of life? A lot of people assume end of life means end of support, end of everything else, and that's not the case, right? End of life in this situation means we're no longer going to be selling VideoXpert Pro hardware, new systems, right? So you'll see on this one, the announcement came out end of March. End of this month, which today is June 13th. End of this month is going to be end of sale of VideoXpert Pro hardware, right? So new systems, if I want to buy that hardware, that's going end of sale at the end of this month, right? And a lot of the other things that go along with it, channel licenses for new systems, special modification requests, all of those end at the end of this month, as you can see on this section of the document. End of licenses. So if I have an existing VideoXpert Pro system and I want to keep it for a while, I could still buy channel licenses till the end of this year, right? So if I want to add in a couple more cameras, I can still purchase those licenses. And then the next number that comes up in there is SUP and end of support and end of software support. And those are all out to March 29th, 2026. So you have a couple years on there. The big important thing on there is end of sale for SUP. Now there's a program in place that allows you to exchange a commissioned channel on VideoXpert Pro for a Avigilon Unity license, right? So again, commission channel means it's I have a camera that's enabled, I'm looking at and using it within VideoXpert Pro software. Those I could swap over. Let's say, for example, if I have 30 licenses sitting on my VideoXpert Pro system, I'm using 20 of those licenses with actual cameras, and the remainder are unused channels. Well, those 20 are the ones that I can swap over for a license if I have an active SUP on there, right? And I'll show you here in a few minutes a document that shows you where you figure that one out, right? So if I have 20 commission channels, I'm going to get 20 Unity licenses, and that can move forward from there. Also, whatever residual I have on my SUP. So if I have another year, 2 years, whatever that is on the SUP, I will get an equivalent smart assurance plan from Unity, right? So the great deal. That way, you can swap over from VideoXpert Pro to Unity, and without a whole lot of costs on there. There's an additional piece here that's has not been released yet, which is called a bridge software at this point. And what that is allows me to access my recorded video from VideoXpert Pro and access that video in Unity, right? So on my VideoXpert Pro, I have two VMSs running simultaneously. I still have my VideoXpert Pro software running. I have the Unity software running, and from within Unity, I'm going to be able to access that recorded video, right? Typically, if you have video on that box, it's pretty important. I have retention times I've got to worry about. So that way, I don't have to worry about wiping that out and losing all that video. I can still have access to that. That will be coming out in the future. Keep alerted for that. Will be an announcement when that software becomes available, right? The other thing that has in this document is, conversation about what crosses over. Next thing is it has a link to a transition page, right? Which is a migration to Avigilon to Unity. Migration from VideoXpert to Unity Video. And really what's of interest down here is this link that says VideoXpert to Unity migration document, right? This is a pretty important piece if you're considering movement. This is where this document comes into play, right? And this takes you into a lot of considerations that you need to think about, right? If you have third-party integrations, what kind of cameras you have, again, the video retention, whether I want to keep that video or if I just want to have a clean slate, right? This document walks through a lot of those good things to take in consideration. A really excellent document to walk through. One thing that's great about that, and this is the is my Pro system going to migrate over? I bought this a couple of years ago. All of the VideoXpert Pro hardware, since it's been released, is supported for this migration to Unity, right? So that way you don't have to worry about buying new servers, buying new things, right? This is all supported in there, right? So all the way from the VideoXpert Pro 1 series, and right now we're up to VideoXpert Pro 3 series. All of those migrate over very well, right? So that's a nice consideration. The other thing that you want to take in idea is what cameras. Some of your cameras may have been in there for quite some time. There's also in this document, this migration guide, is which cameras move over, right? And there's a big list of them in here. Some of them going pretty far back. Be honest with you, if you're on a Pro, the odds of you having some of these really old cameras, really old encoders that will no longer be supported, the odds of you having those on those systems is kind of slim, but just be aware that there are certain cameras, really early generation IP cameras from Pelco that are not migrate over. If you have questions on those, reach out to your regional sales manager, Mohammad in this case, and he can send those inquiries back over to my way, and I'll be able to get some better clarification on those, what's supported and what's not. This is a great guideline on this, right? And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the SUP, which I mentioned earlier, right? And what's great about the SUP is, we're getting a lot of inquiries saying, hey, I've got to make my move today. We saw the end of life announcement. Well, you don't have to make that move today, right? The program to be able to exchange your VideoXpert Pro license to a Unity license runs through 2026, as long as you have an active SUP, software update plan on VideoXpert Pro. You'll be able to make that migration at no charge, right? And what I'm looking at here is, I don't know if you're familiar with support.pelco.com. That's support.pelco.com. And that's the support page for everything Pelco, cameras, video management platforms, all of those things. And what you want to do is just type in SUP at the top of that page, and that will bring you to this very first knowledge article. And this knowledge article helps you, and this is a really important one. This knowledge article walks you through the process of figuring out what you have remaining on your SUP, or if you need to get some updated ones, right? So this is a great article. If you are a current VideoXpert Pro user and have that system, and you're not quite sure if I'm going to be able to make that move or not, right? This is where you find out if that's if you're capable or you're eligible to make that move. And hey, you know what? I can go out and buy some SUPs, get myself active, get myself current. Maybe add a year's worth on there. So maybe that transition usually doesn't happen in days. It usually takes a while to be able to make all those things happen, right? So this is a great way to figure out where you're at with those SUPs and be able to contact your sales manager and get an order in and order some additional SUPs for those, right? And I think that's the nuts and bolts of it, Mohammed.
Great, Paul. Thank you very much. That was very helpful. And it's important to note that the end-of-life announcement only applies to VideoXpert Pro for now, not Enterprise. Paul, you'll be able to share some of the links, right? I just shared the link for the community page that you referred to.
I figured while Nate was having a conversation, I could put some of those links into the documents. Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll send, and people ask for that migration document. It's a living document. It's changing as we find out additional things in there. So I think best fit is put the link to the page that has a link, so that way as it gets updated, you'll have new information in that document.
Paul, thank you very much. That was very informational. Now let's talk about the migration options to the third-party VMS with Nate Smith. Nate, over to you, sir.
Nate Smith. I'm the Business Development Manager for our VMS technology partners. So long story short, I work closely with the Genetecs, the Milestones, the Exacq, Salients, you name it. There's a whole bunch out there that we work with right now. So if you guys need help, navigating some of those, seeing where we're certified, where we're not, I'm the guy to contact for that. But just got to kind of go through a general overview of Pelco and kind of where we've been going, where we're going now, and where we've been at. So, Pelco's been around for a long time, 1957. We've been in the marketplace. We're a very trusted, long-time brand, not going anywhere. So, acquired by Motorola back in August 2020, part of the Motorola Solutions family. Been moving our manufacturing back to Richardson, Texas, back to the USA, as well as Canada, some stuff in Italy, as well as the UK as well for international stuff. Some of the investments that we've made, tripling the direct Pelco sales team. We no longer use rep firms. So everybody from Pelco you deal with is going to be a direct Pelco employee. Also brought our technical support back to the USA. So any of you that have been a long time Pelco customer know that we prided ourselves on support. And through the years, some of that kind of fell off through the different acquisitions and everything. But just be aware that we have brought that back to the US, invested heavily in that again to make sure that you guys have that world-class experience that you're used to. We've added a lot of things to the portfolio too. So from Calypso to IP video, the Halo sensors, video tech for our specialty line, and most recently Silent Sentinel, for some high-end long-range thermal cameras. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But being part of the Motorola family, we work a lot with those teams. There's a lot of overlay and a lot of things that we can help you guys with out there too. Just for everybody on the call that maybe outside of Motorola, there's been a lot of confusion in the marketplace as far as why do they need 47 different video companies? Why do they need all these access control companies? So kind of like to put this together. Motorola as a whole on the video side is kind of broken down into two silos, Avigilon and Pelco. Avigilon being kind of their end-to-end solution that they're looking for. So if you've got a new on-premise or cloud solution that you're looking at, Avigilon and the Ava platform falling under that. Now Alta is what they're calling that, as well as their access control platforms, messaging, all the command control, you name it, under that. Pelco is focused now, as we talk about this end-of-life announcement, on camera sales and devices. We're the open platform, work with everybody. So under the Pelco portfolio, you're going to see, of course, Pelco, Calypso, which I'll talk a little bit about, Videotech, our specialty line of cameras, Silent Sentinel, and kind of in the middle here, there is a little bit of overlap. So the Halo sensors under IP video, LPR cameras, body worn cameras are all kind of the things that fall sort of under both that we both offer in our ecosystem. As always, we continue to be very focused with one of our largest customers being the federal government. Everything that we make is NDAA compliant. Again, talked about bringing our manufacturing back to the US. Everything NDAA, TIA compliant. You don't have to worry about it. We are VMS agnostic. So what does that mean? It means that we will play well in the sandbox with everybody and be able to attach to really any portfolio out there. David, I'm sure you'll like this, but don't forget too, we still offer our SMR program, special modification requests. So if you guys have any kind of custom mounting situations, super high-end cameras, want to match it to an architecture on your building, lots of different things that we can do with that. Just reach out to your local RSM. They can get you in touch, let you know what we can do on that end too. We've also made a transition too. We used to have a lot of direct partners and go through distribution. Just so everybody's aware on the call, we have moved to a distribution only model. So what does that mean? It means from an integrator standpoint, you'll need to procure your cameras through Wesco, Accutech, ADR, Graybar, or ScanSource. They are all holding stock now of Pelco cameras. That's another reason that we did this, is to make sure that when you guys need a camera, it's readily available for you. Kind of running through the lineup quickly for you guys. We've done a lot of investment on the Motorola side to refresh the Pelco line and bring all this manufacturing back locally. So see in the boxes here, these are all of the lines that we've currently converted over to our own factories. So everything from the Pro, Enhanced, some of our specialty cameras, thermals, body worn, LPR, multi-imagers, all within our own factories. So last few of these in the roadmap right now to be refreshed a little bit later this year, early next year. About the only thing that we probably can't do domestically here in the US is our value line, just to get that price point where we need to. But be aware those are still fully NDA compliant. You don't have to worry about those being manufactured in a banned country or anything like that. Quick breakdown again of just some of the stuff that we're manufacturing here in Texas currently as well. Talked a little bit about our specialty line. So with the addition of Videotech, you now have the ability to source not only standard everyday cameras, but our ruggedized housings, wide temperature range. If you've got a manufacturing facility that's got ovens, something like that, where they need to put it in, we've got housings for that. Bispectral cameras, explosion-proof cameras, which doesn't mean they survive explosions, just means that they don't spark. Intrinsically safe would probably be a better description. But anything along ports, salt water, as we know, does a lot to cameras. Manufacturing these are very popular in that as well. And then the most recent announcement is Silent Sentinel. So that kind of picks up kind of from where we go with the Videotech cameras to high end, and these are long range thermal cameras. So not going to be your day-to-day everyday camera, but when you start talking about cities, sporting events, large municipalities, that type of thing, military bases, ports, they've got these cameras, and at the high end, their most advanced camera, or our most advanced camera now, can actually detect, track a person from up to 30 kilometers away. So let that sink in a minute. That's over 20 miles for those of us in the US that don't know kilometers. We can actually detect and track a person from that kind of distance. So just know that we have the full range for you out there. I talked a little bit about our open options. So this is how we communicate with all the third party out there, is through ONVIF, and that's kind of the universal language. So we support all the major ONVIF profiles from SGT and most recently M. That's the latest one out there that really is around the advanced AI analytics. So you think M, think metadata, think analytics, and we are fully supported on that. Again, most of our cameras will cover, basic analytic functionality from that you're used to, from motion to line crossing to object left behind. These are all things built into most every camera in our product line. And as you get into more of our enhanced line cameras, that's where you really start to see the most advanced analytics out there, AI type analytics that can detect people, vehicles, vehicle subclasses, from bikes to cars to trucks to motorcycles, people, searching for people in a blue shirt or a red shirt, down to a more recent one, crawling. You know, we found, especially in critical infrastructure places, there's a difference between somebody walking around and somebody crawling on the ground that you might want to watch for. So available in our cameras, enhanced 4 line also includes some audio analytics. So anything from loud noise. Ultrasonic is a very cool one out there too. You can actually download an app on your phone, emit an ultrasonic sound. That camera can pick it up and trigger an alarm for people, almost like a silent panic alarm. All those are included in those enhanced 4 cameras. The only thing that you would ever potentially have to pay a license fee for would be our gunshot detection on those. And just kind of a breakdown of where our cameras fall. Value is going to be our low cost, very basic analytics. As you move up into the Pro series, you're looking at more people, vehicle detection, some basic rules. And then again, our enhanced 4 cameras is going to be our top of the line, the best image quality, the best lighting conditions, the most analytics, you know, again, where you start getting into the show me a person in a red shirt, those types of things. And for those of you that may not be that familiar with Pelco anymore, I threw this on here for you too. Just kind of a comparison from some of our major competitors of where our enhanced professional value line fall. Talk a little bit about smart compression. This is just our own compression standard that adds to you being able to reduce bandwidth, storage costs. Everybody pretty much has that. They call it something different. Axis is Zipstream, Hanwha, Wisestream, ours is smart compression. And then for those of you that may not be familiar with the part numbers, there is logic, believe it or not, behind all these part numbers. Go from the Cerix family, E for enhanced, P for pro, the model number, resolution that you want, anywhere from 2 to 8 megapixel, varifocal versus fixed, the different focal lengths, interior versus exterior would be an E versus an I, and then whether or not you want IR on the part numbers. So as you're trying to decipher those, that pretty much follows down all the newer part numbers. Talked a little bit about this before, you know, again, fully NDA compliant, very invested in the cybersecurity. I mentioned before, our biggest customer is the federal government. So we like to make sure that we've got everything from FIPS modules to the latest in cybersecurity. Just know that you're safe when you invest in a Pelco camera. And again, this is a little bit more about some of those cybersecurity platforms that we utilize within the Pelco cameras. As far as the partnerships, you know, with the end of life of VideoXpert, we are cameras only now. So what does that mean? It means that we make sure that our cameras work. Some of our strategic partners right now, the biggest in the marketplace, obviously Genetec, Milestone, Exacq, Cognify, Salient. We utilize OnVIF. There's too many for me to list really on this to really go over it. As far as the tightest integrations, one thing that we do on the Pelco side before we release any of our cameras is we do certify all of our cameras on Genetec and Milestone. We're using Profile M to utilize our analytics within their system, but they've got everything from the dewarping capabilities on our cameras. Milestone's one of the few out there. If you guys run into a situation where you've got a customer with a lot of Optera cameras, they are one of the few out in the marketplace that ever figured out that dewarping properly. So that could be a good option for you if you've got a customer that really likes his Optera cameras. Milestone's a very good fit for conversions going down the road. Part of Genetec's firmware vault, and also within Genetec and Milestone, we also have Pelco Connect software. Really what that does is it creates a tighter integration with our cameras within Genetec and Milestone. So it allows our customers to do everything from analytic configuration to utilizing their search functionality with their, you know, basically their version of appearance search. They're able to utilize that within their interface. Very seamless, very easy to use, free download from pelco.com. Just a simple plugin, download it. It takes about 5-10 seconds to download the software, depending on your connection. Another maybe 30 seconds to install, and you're up and running. So kind of meat and potatoes, I get to ask this all the time, is what makes Pelco different from everybody else on the marketplace? And I'd say the biggest differentiator right now in our cameras, besides the very broad portfolio that we have, is Pelco Elevate. This is our cloud-based analytics that we have now embedded in a number of our cameras. And what does that mean for you? So the couple of things that we have available right now, image health, and this is not just pinging a camera saying, hey, did I get a response back? It's actually taking reference images, comparing that at the schedule you determine, and saying, hey, do I have a bullet camera where the screw came loose and it's pointed at the ground? Is it out of focus? Did a spider build a big web in front of it? The biggest problem that we always had out in the marketplace is, anybody that's been in the industry long enough knows you've had that phone call of, hey, we went to pull up video and we just figured out that camera hasn't been working for the last 2 weeks, or somebody disconnected it. Now we don't have the footage that we need. So image health allows you to proactively, whether you're an end user, monitoring a large site that you don't have time to look at 50, 100, 1,000 cameras, or an integrator, you can proactively take a look and call up your customers and say, hey, I see you've got a camera out. Do I need to send a truck out there to service it? It's also allowing us to do firmware updates on the cameras. So I've been on a number of sites where, we talk cybersecurity. We release updates on a regular basis, firmware on our cameras, but it doesn't ever seem to get loaded, or it's too much of a pain to keep up. With the Elevate software, you can actually get notifications. You can, right from your phone, push an update out to your cameras and say, hey, yeah, I want to push the latest firmware updates out to my cameras. You can automate that. Just really helps keep your site secure. This also embeds into Milestone, Genetec, you name it, the VMS that you're using, allows you to create alerts. So if you want to get an alert that cameras are offline or they're out of focus, through the OnVIF, you can create something to ping you, create prompts within your VMS. Doesn't matter who you're using. So those are just the first steps, and those are free for the warranty period of the camera. So 5 years that you would have the free image health and firmware updates. But it's also allowing us, through this Cloud Connect, to add much more advanced analytics coming down the road. So all of our newer cameras use this. The first one that we'll be releasing, coming out in, I believe, September is the time frame, is visible firearms detection. So what this does for you is take something that would typically take really expensive servers to run all these analytics on site, or if you had it on just a camera, those are notoriously unreliable. So with this Cloud Connect software, you can actually get notified, lock down your building, do what you need to do. Know that if somebody's out in the parking lot with a weapon, hopefully long before our cameras ever have to detect a gunshot, you can be notified, lock down your building, your facility, schools, hospitals, commercial. This is becoming more and more prevalent, as I'm sure everyone knows, can utilize this to hopefully prevent a lot of these events from happening. And again, this is just one of many that future-proofs your Pelco cameras. As we go down the road, we'll be adding additional high-end analytic capabilities, and know that things that haven't even been invented yet, we'll be able to push these out to the cameras, and you as a customer will be able to utilize this functionality within your Pelco cameras. I'd like to touch too a little bit on Calypso. This is our cloud-based analytics. And this is not just for Pelco cameras. This is for anyone out there. So this is camera agnostic, VMS agnostic. Long story short, make a dumb camera smart is really what this does for you. So instead of, say, going out and buying something like a brief cam solution that requires you to, again, put a whole lot of servers on site to run these analytics, or add these, or have to change out your entire ecosystem, you can utilize your existing infrastructure and add these analytic capabilities, people, vehicles, Good example of this, if you guys ever saw in the news a couple years back, we had all those substation shootings for Duke around the country, where someone was going out shooting up the substations, blowing up transformers. They had turned off all their analytics because dumb analytics on the camera every time a tree blew around, lighting changes, a squirrel ran across the scene would trigger those motion events. So this now allows you to add those people vehicle detection to your cameras right up to the pro where you can do forensic searching. And again, takes it from a big capital expenditure, but having to buy new cameras, servers, to just having to buy licenses for your cameras. Again, run through kind of what this does, but a couple quick examples of false alarms where you got some changing lighting conditions, or this is a common one, a spider web moving around on the scene. Won't trigger alarms versus this is set up for vehicles or people, those types of things. Again, did your image change? You can add that health monitoring to cameras. Again, third party, Axis, Anwar, you name it, we can add those capabilities as well. Moving up to core where you can have the people vehicle detection, and up to pro where you can actually do similarity search. Show me a guy in a red shirt, show me a car, a red vehicle. Very easy to deploy, works with all the third-party VMSs, works with all the camera brands out there as well. Only requirements we have is it's an ONVIF compliant camera and that it has the ability to detect motion. Could even be an old analog camera on an encoder as long as it's encoded through the ONVIF profile. Again, integrated into a lot of different systems out there already. You can do a free demo at your sites. Just be aware that that's out there. And then in the interest of time, I'll touch on a couple of these last ones real quick too. As many of you are aware, we recently acquired IP Video, which is maker of Halo sensors. So these are very popular schools, hospitality, even into the commercial scene. Not just vape detectors as they've been kind of pushed out in the marketplace, but they can do everything from just vape to detecting, illicit drugs, right down to health monitoring. We've had customers, we had a school district, in fact, a couple of stories on this. We had one here in Greenville, South Carolina that students at school or the administrators got a notification, hey, somebody's vaping in the girls' bathroom. They ran down there quickly to catch the kid, found her passed out on the floor. Turned out she had taken a hit of a vape that was laced with fentanyl. They were able to actually hit her with the Narcan pen, call 911, save this girl's life. So not just getting kids in trouble can actually save them. We had another school that they installed these, started getting alerts that their carbon monoxide was going up all around the building every day at the same time. Couldn't figure it out. Well, it turns out for the last 30 years, they were lining the buses up out in front of the school and didn't have air conditioning. Teachers had the windows open, and unbeknownst to them, they've been poisoning their staff and kids for the last 30 years because of where these buses were located outside the building. We're able to reroute the buses. Air quality went right back up and no longer harming anybody in the building. We also have license plate reader cameras. So becoming increasingly popular out in the marketplace. We have a very quick deploy, easy camera that we can deploy, put it up on a pole. We've got solar, we've got LTE, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth built into these as well. Just be aware that that's in our portfolio. Right down to body worn cameras, more and more common everywhere you go that they want to see these on people, but know that that's out there. Again, talked a little bit about the support coming back to the US. We've made heavy investments too. In fact, I tell everybody that the easiest way, pelco.com/support, go on there, live chat. You don't have to wait on hold anymore. SMS through the app and everything like that. Quick breakdown for you guys. If you ever need to get in touch, we've got Nicole Pitts over the Calypso platform. Andrew Strong leads our engineering team. Scott just moved from the director of the West, is now handling our larger strategic accounts. Myself over the third party VMS. Ed Stiles covers our specialty line, and Rodney Esslinger with distribution. The central and northeast should be filled hopefully by the end of this week. Backfilled on those here shortly too. But I know that was a lot very quickly, so I'll turn it back over to you, Mohammad, as far as any questions that I might be able to answer for the on the lot of info I just ran through very quickly.
Nate, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. One question I have, and then we can open it up to other folks, is as you said, 100% of our cameras are tested with Genetec and Milestone. Does it mean all the analytics work seamlessly with these VMS systems?
So it varies by VMS, actually. So a lot of the other VMSs out there do not support Profile M within there. So those high-end analytics where you can do the searching capabilities, that kind of thing. A lot of them are in the process of adding. So Genetec and Milestone, yes, 100% will cover all of those right now, and that's certified and working as we speak through that Pelco Connect software. Cognify, I believe, is releasing it this month, actually, on theirs with their integration to QFinder. Exacq, we were showing the visible firearms detection actually out at ISC West this year on their system, as well as Salient. So depending on the analytic that you're looking to do, I would say get with your RSM, depending on your VMS. Some of them support it, some of them do not. We can help you navigate that too.
Awesome. Nate, thank you very much. That was very helpful and useful. Now, if there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or type it in the message box. Thank you. Yes, Julian.
Thank you, Nate. Quick question. So I had somebody reach out about a fixed video solution maybe 2 weeks ago, and their inquiry was really just rooted in they wanted a camera system completely closed off from the internet. They don't want any access to the outside world or any possibility of a breach. So what do you see as like typically being the main selling point for somebody who's looking for that, but then still wants the ability to like receive those updates and make sure they have the latest software available to them with the Pelco cameras? Do they have to sort of like build a rapport with an integrator who's going to come out on a monthly basis and install those updates?
Yeah, a lot of times we have customers that will, especially with their integrators, they'll do, annual or semi-annual agreements where they'll come out a couple times a year, do those updates. I like to let people know when you're opening our cameras to the internet, we're not streaming video to the internet, whether it's through the Calypso platform or through Elevate. All that you're really opening up on your camera system is port 443 for the most part, that allows us to send basically an email with a couple of JPEG images up to our server. It's all encrypted on the back end. So if their concern is bandwidth limitations and or the cybersecurity piece, you're not really opening up too much of your internet. If they're already allowing email traffic in and out of their system, they're not allowing a whole lot more with that. For those, especially federal government customers where they absolutely refuse to, yeah, Elevate's not going to necessarily alleviate your issues with the firmware updates. However, again, they just have to go back to the old school way of downloading the software. They can do it right from pelco.com. All the firmware updates are on there as well for our various camera models, or work with their integrator. Hopefully that answers your question, Julian.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Julian, Nate, thank you very much for that. I don't see any other messages, any other questions. So we'll conclude today's session. I really want to thank you for tuning in. Paul, Nate, thank you so much for your contributions. Really appreciate it. Till the next time. Have a good one.